Welcome to the Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition. It's episode 191, April 18th, 2023. You know what that means, Brad, right?
It means we're dangerously close to episode 200 is what that means.
You know what? We're even closer because I was supposed to update it to 192. Aha!
Oh.
So 192, gotcha.
Now people have something to heckle about.
Yep, so just 1 month away from Into the Box, and if we do one every week, we should hit 200 in 2 months. So basically, this time in June somewhere, we'll be, we'll be at episode 200. I think it's actually the week that you guys are going to be at CF Camp. So I'm not sure if you guys want to try and do something on the fly at CF Camp, or we'll just do a normal episode, or we'll wait till the week after. I don't know. We'll have to see, because you might be gallivanting.
That sounds fun, but what time of the day would that be? Would it be like probably 6 p.m.?
I don't know. That's the thing. So
I don't know what daylight savings is.
Yeah. We got 8 episodes to figure it out. No, I'm not going to be there. So I think
I've already lost track of who's even going.
I think you, Eric, Dan Cod, and Luis are going to be there, but maybe some others. I'm not sure, but I think those 4 for sure, because I saw you on the speaker list, and there's something about workshops that we'll talk about later. So
and that's changing in ways that you probably don't even have on your show notes. So.
Probably, so you can give us the update. Don't worry, I was going to put you to speak all about that, so you can tell us what's going on, because I don't know what's going on there either. So
work in progress, Gavin.
Yep, for sure. Now, someone just pinged me. Okay, I was making sure they didn't say there's something wrong with the audio or something, but geez, Gavin. Yeah, Adam's in there. It's beer time, apparently, so good enough.
Zach Spitzer said on Twitter he was going to come heckle us, so the more the merrier.
Yep, we like it when you guys come in here and chit-chat, and, sometimes it's useful and sometimes it's fun, but sometimes it's both. So anyways, let's get on with the show. So for those who don't know, I'm Gavin Pickin, Senior Developer, Auto Solutions, and everyone knows who Brad Wood is. He's the guy who, if you mention CFML 3 times on Twitter, he'll jump out of nowhere and tell you, it's still alive, it's still alive.
It doesn't take 3 times.
I know, I'm teasing. the candy man, right? No. Anyway, but thanks to our sponsor, Auto Solutions. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this podcast. They're the makers of Coldbox, Commandbox, ForgeBox, TestBox, and most of your favorite boxes out there. And Brad's got a few ways you can say thanks back to Auto Solutions.
Well, I'm busy heckling the hecklers in the chat, and now you want me to actually pay attention to the podcast? Jeez. So Auto Solutions. You can like and subscribe our videos on YouTube. You can help us reach for the stars by starring and forking our repos, and we even have a command box module that will go through your box.json and will automatically like all of our repos for you if you're that lazy.
It's not even our repos, it's everyone from the community. So that's the thing. You're supporting those community members that are putting their
Yep. It'll star everybody's repos for you. We are here to enable that level of laziness. Also subscribe to our podcast on all of your podcast apps. Leave us a review. You can sign up for a free or paid account on CFcast, which has new content every week. You can buy sweet t-shirts from our Box Life store, like my Command Box one that says, the server is up. And then, of course, we have our Ordis books, such as the 102 Cool Box Quick Tips and the Learn CFML in 100 Minutes. So lots of options. Is Patreon even in there? Did we even mention Patreon?
No, because that's next. But
that's next.
Yeah, so another way, the recommended way right now is you can do all those things, which are great, but would love to have you guys come join us for Into the Box the 10th. And speaking of Into the Box and attending, one of the people in the chat who has never been to Into the Box is going to make an appearance. Adam Cameron is going to be here. Yeah, top secret. No, not really. He already published, so he's everywhere. But he's going to be there. So we had to pull him over the pond. It's the 10th one, and he's obviously done a lot and given a lot to the community, whether it's been heckling who's best, hisses and heckles. But he does do a lot of things, and one of them, keep Adobe accountable-ish, with lots of bug reports. So yeah, so Adam Cameron's going to be there, and then Sean Odin's in the chat. He's going to be there. He's speaking as well. So So yeah, it's good to see you guys there, and it'd be great to see you in Houston. For everybody else, it's the 10th one. It's going to be a big one. We're hoping it's going to be, the best yet. And like, there's a lot of great speakers, some new speakers too, a lot of great content. But we'll tell you about that a little bit more. But that's a great way. Remember, this is in person only this year. We're not going to do all the crazy live streaming because we just had too many issues with all sorts of things. So we want to focus on getting the best content for those who are actually there. And we will be recording it. We'll release it later on Into the Box, CFcast and everything else. But it's in person only. So if you want to stay in the action, be there. But again, we do have this Patreon supporters. So thank you to those awesome Patreon supporters. We got to come up with a new name for today's supporters, but we've got 39 supporters plus one who can't use Patreon because of his country location. But at patreon.com/autosolutions you can find out some of the packages and perks, and we'll tell you about more of that at the end of the show. But next up, we have news and announcements, and so this one's more of an in case you missed it. So Brad, you want to tell us a little bit about this? And I think we should pull up the videos. So I'm going to give you guys some links to some of the TerraTech podcasts where they talk about this more.
Oh. Yeah, I was actually just looking to see if they had any partial results listed yet for the 2023 State of the CF Union survey. So if you haven't taken that, go ahead and fill it out. Send it to all of your coworkers and friends who are ColdFusion developers, but maybe don't pay any attention to social media. Ortus, and I know a lot of the companies use the results of that.
So, I mean, it really
tabs on what versions of ColdFusion people are using, what we should support, just to see what the trends in the community are, what kind of IDEs are the most popular. Helps us, decide what IDE plugins and things like that to focus on. So, take the State of the CF Union survey that is on the terratech.com blog.
Yep, and I found one of the videos I'll put in the show notes as well. And from that, I think you can link to some of the other ones. But the TerraTech site has a lot of the content. So I was on there, Brad was on there. We talked about the different results from previous years, and yeah, they've done a great job over the years, and it's really interesting to go and see the trends, And yeah, the old days we were like, oh my gosh, Command Box, like 25% of people are using it, and like now we're like, oh wow, there's like still. I mean, what are we at now? I can't remember what the number was, but it was a pretty good number.
I want to say for local development, like 50% of the respondents said they were using it. Now, of course, the asterisk is of the respondents, so it's, obviously only the people that fill out the survey are included in that. And our Docker images have been more popular than Lucy's official ones. I think Adobe's official Docker images may have finally edged us out on that.
Yeah,
but
I think they have.
Still quite a bit of use all the way around, which is kind of fun to see.
Yep, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool stuff in there, and I just like seeing, what other people are using and, still using, and it's kind of interesting to see how many people are still using the old CF versions, There's a lot, and because 2023/4, I mean, it's getting really close. They're talking, I think one of the at CF Summit East, they mentioned something about it's going to be late this year, maybe even to next year, but I have a feeling that it's going to drop pretty soon. And so 2021, 18, 16, 11, 10, I mean, they're still on that list, and people are still using a lot of those older versions.
Oh,
so
yeah. I don't know what the release timeline looks like. Obviously, nobody other than the Adobe employees do. But I mentioned this the other day in the podcast, and I'll say it again. I've been pleasantly surprised that Adobe has been testing their ColdFusion 2023 betas on Ortus Box products independently. So they've been running against Content Box. They've been testing it on Java 17, which has its own pile of effort that has to be done there. And they've reached out to us proactively and said, hey, we've gotten issues running Content Box CMS on Adobe ColdFusion 2023 beta. Can you help us resolve it? So I'm super pleased to see them doing that. And they just mentioned to me in an email this week they're trying to, close down the release for this and get all the remaining, bugs nailed down. Now, who knows what that means in terms of release, but I know that they are trying to push towards release on that. So that's very exciting, and I've been super pleased to see Adobe going out of their way to do testing on our box products. And we've been trying to do the same thing locally. John Klassen has been, I say locally, inside of Ortus, John Klassen has been setting up all of our automated builds out there on GitHub and, to run against Adobe ColdFusion 2023, the public beta, and Java 17 to see what, more bugs it shakes out of the tree as well. So between all of the major testing suites that we have for all of our Ortus libraries, especially Content Box and CBRM, there's a lot of test cases. So anyway, hopefully, if we're play our cards right, we'll be able to have all of our box testing suites passing on 2023 before it releases, as opposed to nasty release day surprises.
Yep, for sure.
Which may or may not have happened in the past in previous versions.
Yeah, there's always what do you call it? I would call it the lemon period, where you've got to find all the lemons and fix them real quick before adopting. But Adam Cameron asked, what's the benefit of using the Ortus Lucy Docker image over the Lucy's one? I mean, really, when we first released them, Command Box ones had so many more features than Adobe and Lucy's core images. They were basically like a build inside a Docker, but they've done a lot of work on them lately. They've improved a lot, and Charlie Earhart did a session of comparing the images, but we basically just put a whole bunch of like niceties in them. They were like developer friendly, like DivX stuff, so like really easy way to use secrets, all these little bits and pieces in it that just you could do yourself with the other ones, but we try to make it real easy. And like CFconfig obviously makes everything easy. The .env module, like all that stuff that just comes with Command Box, all those modules made ours really simple to use. And then, Lucy and Adobe have sort of got their own settings configuration tools now and a few other things that they were missing. And so they're getting closer, but obviously, we're used to all our tools. And if we can't figure out how to do something nicely or easily, we build it in. So John and Brad have done a ton of great work on those Docker images.
Yeah, I'll qualify your statement. Adobe's done a decent amount of work. Lucy's Docker images really haven't changed at all in years. Now there is the native support for CFconfig JSON on Lucy. I haven't really tested it. I don't know how good it is. I would say one of the singular most useful things is the full environment variable support for any Cold Fusion setting and any server setting. Lucy and Adobe still have jack nothing, like zero. Okay, maybe they have like 3. I don't know. They basically are crap in this area, right? You can control every single part of the server deployment. So your server.json, every key in that can be done by environment variable, and every single CFconfig JSON value, including entire data source definitions, can also be environment variables. And Lucy doesn't have that at all in its CFconfig JSON. So I would say that the environment variables alone are worth the price of admission to the Command Box based images. But anyway, that's all a bit of an aside.
Yeah, and Adam was saying he had to hack CFXML files the other day, and I'm like, yeah, like that's the main reason I like using Command Box.
That's why we made
Lucy.
CFconfig.
Yeah, but I mean, not even that. Like the whole password text thing for for
the
whatever.
EULA is actually not in an XML file, Adam. It's actually in a properties file, and that's part of the magic of the CF engines in Command Box.
Yeah, they're a little different, but yeah. So, but those are the main differences. And like I said, they've come a long way. At first, they were miles apart, and they're making some good steps towards it. But yeah, like I said, for us, it's just environment variables and just loading configuration settings. Because it's very much their images originally were, I'm going to install a server into a Docker image. An old school server. You still have to log in and add all your data sources, and it's very much old school, where our stuff is you run it from a script, you never touch the admin, you're good, let's go. But anyway, that's the short of it. Charlie does a lot more diving into it, and of course, like I said, if there's something missing, we add it to ours on the spot because we're like, we can't wait, we don't want to do this. So anyway, but okay, so enough babbling about everything there. So new releases and updates. I'll tell you one thing. We don't have a whole lot coming out from Ortus because, we save all these goodies for ITB. So there's a lot of stuff that we're working on that we're going to be releasing into the box. But we did have something last week. So these Jupyter notebook type things are kind of interesting. And then we have the CFML Jupyter kernel now powered by Command Box. Brad, do you want to tell us a little bit about this? I was going to talk about it, but I'm sure you know more than I do.
Yeah, it's as most things do. This one brings back painful and annoying memories of things I tried to do years ago but never worked, and unresolved tickets still sitting in the Lucy backlog. I tried to get a Lucy kernel for Jupyter years ago, only to find that Lucy's JSR 223 support is actually only half-baked, and it doesn't implement all the methods it was supposed to. And so the kernels I could find for JSR 223 languages wouldn't freaking work with Lucy. I am still bitter about that, and my ticket is still in the Lucy backlog. So what Jason did here, actually you say James Steinhauser, isn't his name Jason?
Jason, I just copied what it was in there. Yeah.
Oh, weird. Our show notes here said James, and I was like second guessing my entire life. Anyway, what Mr. Steinhauser did, or Hauer, I'm even pronouncing the name wrong. Jeez, sorry. Is he did one that wrapped up command box's REPL basically. And so the perennial problem, of course, is sorry, I'm like reading comments in the YouTube chat section while trying to talk. The perennial problem is, the delay you have of like loading up command box and then running something in the REPL and then having it exit, which takes several seconds. So what Jason worked on doing, which is super cool, and he had talked to me on the Ortus community forum about this, is using Python behind the scenes. It spins up a box process, which it just leaves running, and then it it sends text in the standard input as though you would typed it with a keyboard, and then parses what comes in the standard output. So it's essentially typing into the command box REPL for you, but just doing it through the adapter for the Jupyter kernel, which is pretty sweet. And, it's fast, of course, because command box just stays running in the background. And he was able to hack it all together without needing to do any, significant back-end Java stuff. It's just kind of wrapping up the command box REPL. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. I tried to play with it, and I felt like an idiot because I couldn't figure out how in the bloody heck to use Jupyter. So, if anybody knows what the heck, like, I swear, I've tried to use Jupyter before, and it, like, opens up, and I'm like, I feel like a moron. Like, how do I click? What? I don't know. Like, I can't figure it out. It must be for people far smarter or something than me, because their UI has never made any sense to me. But I love the fact that Jason got this working, because apparently somewhere out there's people who have, like, decoded the secrets of Jupyter, and they know what the heck to do once it opens up. So, good on them.
Yeah, you're funny, Brad. But yeah, Jupyter notebooks are pretty cool. I see a lot of people using them, but yeah, I haven't used them myself. But I know they have pretty cool stuff in VS Code, so that's kind of nice. And actually, Scott and I were talking about running the same type of stuff in VS Code, not for Jupyter notebooks, but to actually run command box in a separate thread, like in Node or something, so we can start piping tests.
Yeah, I was talking to Scott about that last week as well.
Yeah, so that's we're like, formatting, linting, all that stuff runs a little slow because we got to wait for command box to start up. So I was like, well, we just run this, and then we could tie into all the cool stuff in command box, and we'll have to use something like Node or Python, I know, but at least we'll get to the good stuff. So if it's a means to the end, we might be able to deal with it, right, Brad?
Yeah, because I was showing Scott Steinbeck how to like disable the command box prompt, so there would be like less text he would have to parse out to do it.
Yep.
Anyway,
it's pretty cool. Like, so that's one of the things we're just trying to do. I really want to focus on DivX, like the developer experience and running formatting and just stuff like that, like save, format on save, whatever. I know you can do it now, but it's not as fun, not as friendly.
Well, you have to start a watcher, which means you have a terminal window sitting somewhere, which basically is your running version of command box, but it's still not a general purpose reusable thing.
Yeah, and you just can't use it for as many things. So I think once we get that, it'll really open up the opportunities. I want to be able to like run a test from the function I'm in, like, hey, run my test for this function by pushing command. So those types of things are what I want to do.
That would be super sweet.
All those things that other languages do, but well, not all of them, to be honest, because I actually listened to a podcast about this product for Python, and like they were talking about how the Rust command tool, like, it sounds like command box, and they're like how they're trying to basically get more like that. I'm like, yeah, we already got that, so we got one up on Python there. But so it's just funny. I thought Brad would be happy. He'd be heckling away. So anyways, next up, meetups. So we got webinars, meetups, and workshops, and we got a few this week. One today, right now. So if you guys are here, sorry you're probably missing it. Sorry about that, but we're more important. But you want to tell us about this one?
Yeah, and if you were hoping to still jump into this, Mark Takata had posted in Slack just a few minutes ago that the URL wasn't working and hadn't been set up correctly, and he had a URL for people to click on. For anyone trying to join. It looks like his personal Adobe Connect URL. So anyway, that's in CFML Slack if you're like tried to get into it and you couldn't. But yeah, so exploring APIs, building applications with ColdFusion, REST, and GraphQL. So this is Mark Takata. He talks about using ColdFusion's data access capabilities, building applications. Looks like he was going to build a Google Translate clone, a low-code context manager, and an ETL workflow that integrates with NoSQL and a relational database. So anyway, sounds kind of cool, and that's basically happening right now. I assume there will be a recording after the fact.
Yep, I know they talked a lot about GraphQL and everything at the CF Summit East, so big hopes for that with the next version. And then we got the Mid-Michigan Cold Fusion Meetup group. They've got the ins and outs of CF setup with Randy Brown from Michigan State, so he's going to be talking about that and talk about Adobe CF setup tool to assist administrators with DevOps and setting migration. So that is tonight, if you guys want to check that one out. And then we got another one tomorrow, Wednesday, April 19th. And that's from the SAC Interactive Meetup. So you've
Crash
seen
course.
This one, right? From Nolan?
No, I don't know if I did. I've forgotten about it. Crash course with web components and Nolan Irk. I don't know that I've seen this one. April 19th, which is tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Web components provide a modular way to build a consistent design system and user experience across your entire application. Instead of copying and pasting chunks, use web components. There you go. Meetup.com.
Yeah,
There's the link for that.
I think there's just a comment in here, something saying web components, learn how they work and then integrate them into a backend like CFML or PHP. I promise it's easier than you think. So that's a good way to finish that. So pretty cool. And yeah, I know he's done some web component stuff before, and so I know they've changed a lot in web components. They've done a lot of work lately on them, so they're improving and getting better all the time. So cool. Okay, CFcast. So CFcast.com. We have a lot of great content up there, and some new features are coming your way. One was released last week. So now Elasticsearch is powering the search for CFcast. So when you actually type in something, you get better results. So a lot of cool things coming your way too. I saw a sneak peek at some of the new stuff, and yeah, very, very cool. So what have we had recently though, Brad?
We've added a bunch of stuff recently as I bide time to tab back to the document so I can read it. We have some more in our Mastering Command Box 5 series, which includes security with client certificates. Also basic authentication, which has been updated recently in Command Box, and passing your JVM args as an array, which if you need to interact with them programmatically, that can just be a little bit more readable in your server.json as opposed to a string. So those are three of the new videos up on CFcast about Command Box.
Yep, and you got 3 more coming the next week as well. And then 2023 ForgeBox Module of the Week. So we released the snippet from our podcast, so you can check that out. And we also released the VS Code and Tip Trick of the Week. And then we have added all the 2019 Into the Box video. So we finally got those up on CFcast. We used to put them over on Vimeo and everything. So we got those transferred over. So now you can watch sessions from the last 4 ITBs up on CFcast. So if you guys are waiting for Into the Box and you can't wait any longer, you can watch 2022s, 2021s, 2020s, and 2019. So all of those series are up on CFcast.com now. There are some free videos in there, but most of them are, included with that subscription. So
like a binge watch. You're looking for something to binge watch on Netflix? No, we've got it right here in CFcast. Grab your bag of popcorn and your Mountain Dew and just go to town.
Yeah, because Scott actually said he thinks the web components one that Nolan might have done that last year, and I'm like, did he? Was it meant to be this year or last year? I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to go find it and watch it again because
you know how long ago last year was? It was like almost a year ago, I think.
Yep. So what else we got coming soon for CFcast?
Well, we have more Command Box videos because I recorded like 1 billion of them all at once, so we're trickling those out. We have more ForgeBox and VS Code podcast snippet videos, which, of course, all of you here who religiously watch our podcast have probably seen. Eric has some ColdBox Elixir content. And then we have some getting started with Inertia.js, which is a library that's not incredibly new, but it's still a pretty cool library, and a lot of people don't know about it, so we're doing a series on that one.
Yeah, because a lot of people are going, how can we use the server-side language to do some JavaScript stuff and not have to dump 300 megs of JavaScript to the page every time someone loads it? And Inertia and CBY are both good solutions for that. So, and CFcast actually built on Inertia.js, if you were wondering. So, it's kind of cool. Okay, let's move on to conferences, and I have something, but we're going to leave that for the VS Code hint tip trick of the week, so I'm going to skip this one. But we have one Jay on the Beach, Brad. Malaga, Spain. I assume Luis is going to be there with Jorge and some of the oldest people. They're
Yeah, Ortis is sponsoring Jay on the Beach. We tried to figure out what Jay stood for last time, and I don't know if we were successful, but it is a DevOps conference over in Spain, and so Ortis is going to be a part of that, and that's basically all I know about it.
Yep, we're definitely a sponsor here. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. If you look at the schedule, they've got workshops and they've got a hackathon and everything else. But yeah, they cover some interesting things. So distributed systems, microservices, cloud, data engineering, data science, DevSecOps, SREs, data viz, and general software engineering. So lots of cool topics there. But so if you guys are maybe on the way to Into the Box, you might want to check that out. So I lost my mouse there. Sorry about that. I'm back. But we also have some Vue.js stuff coming your way. So Vue.js Live is going to be May 12th and on repeat on the 15th. So you can watch that online or in person. And they've got about 10,000 people joining globally, they say. They got about 300 people will be in person, and that will be at Vue.js Live. Vue.jslive.com. So you can get more information on signing up for online or in person. And then next up, we have the big one, right, Brad? You excited?
Into the Box 10th edition, heck yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's ready to go. May 17th through 19th. We're back in the Woodlands, Texas. Adam Cameron will be there. What else do you need to know?
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to know. It should be a romp. So we're gonna have the mariachi band, and the workshops, all the sessions. Like you said earlier, we're focusing on in-person only this year. We spend a lot of bandwidth trying to manage the live streams, which is a lot of work, and dependent on dependent on absolutely sometimes terrible hotel Wi-Fi that they want to charge you like $8 billion to let you plug into the walls. So you have to deal with their guest Wi-Fi that goes down like every 8 hours. It's like, please enter your room number. I swear, like 5 people had that happen in the middle of their session last year, or like the Wi-Fi went offline. Anyway, so be there in person or be square. And we may be doing some recording, I think, for later publishing, but we're not going to do live streaming. So those tickets are available into the box at eventbrite.com, and go to intothebox.org to look at the session schedule. All the content is posted there, and we're seeing registrations coming in for it. So I am excited to see how many people we can get there.
Yep, and the site does look pretty cool. They've done a lot of work on it. So we got the pre-conference workshops too, so don't forget about that. So we've got async programming and scheduling. We got full stack build, deploy, log, monitor your web applications. We've got reactive front ends with CFML, CBWire, and Alpine JS. Testbox, how to get started with Testbox, and then we got building a REST API for the modern developer. So lots of great content in there in the workshops. And then again, we have 2 days. So we've got sessions and we have hands-on. So if you want to deep dive, there's some deep dives into content box, human-friendly scheduled tasks.
Have we explained the difference between the sessions and the hands-on?
Basically, they're just a 2-hour deep dive versus a 1-hour session.
Right. So these are going on simultaneously, and you can choose, do you want a little 1-hour session that's kind of like a normal conference session, or like a 2-hour deep dive, which means you're kind of missing 2 sessions to go to that one, but there's more of like a mini workshop. So you can kind of pick and choose throughout your day. And you'll notice from Gavin's screen share, if you're watching on our YouTube stream, there's filters for each day, for each room, and then once you choose a track, then there's also a room filter as well. We're kind of working on improving this, but you can filter down to what's in each room, or all is just this is everything going on. So lots of awesome. We even have filters based on beginner, intermediate, and advanced content.
Yep, we're trying to go and figure out which ones are which though, because some of the content we're like, wait, is this beginner or intermediate? So, but yeah, we're trying to make it easy to find what you want to look for. And again, there's some great hands-on sessions here too. And this one is a goodie. So this is Sean Odins. He talked to me about it last year. SQL Sleuth, learned some SQL while solving a mystery, and he said he wouldn't be able to fit it in an hour. So it's going to be going to be real cool to see that one. He's been telling me about it. I'm like, I made it happen. So we got a 2-hour session. So hopefully you guys check that one out. And on day one, we have a little bit more time on day one. So in our hands-on session, we're actually having a 1-hour Audis office hour. So a few of the Audis people will be in there if you want to go ask questions and just chit-chat a little bit more. Obviously, you can do that in the hallway track and lunch and Happy Box and everything else too. But I wanted to give you guys some time to go ask questions and look at things. So anyway, lots of cool stuff happening again with that. So hopefully you guys can join us. So excited. And then again, we have all those videos on CFcast, so don't forget about those. And then we have Vueconf US. Man, there's so many of them, and they're all so close. New Orleans, May 24th through the 26th. So you can head home on the way from Houston, stop down in New Orleans for a couple of days, do the Vueconf there. And they have workshops on the 24th as well. So that's vueconf.us. So you guys can check that one out. And then we got CF Camp. So you want to tell us more about these pre-conference trainings, Brad?
So these pre-conference trainings are changing on the fly because I was just emailing with Mishi, with Michael Nat today, and we are adding a 4th Ortis workshop to the list. I know. So Mishi is helping actually coordinate the workshops through funneling all through CF Camp and consolidating the sign up all as part of the CF Camp website. So we won't be doing our own separate Eventbrite. You can just get it when you get your CF Camp ticket, which is very nice of them. So we have test box getting started with BDD, TDD, oh my, because that's never been done before. Sorry, I'm not making fun of the session. I'm making fun of the oh my trope.
Yeah.
We have the Cold Box 7 from Zero to Hero session. We have Legacy Code conversion to the modern world. And let me look at my sent items and see what I sent Mishi just this morning as my workshop title. Command Box server deployment for the modern age, which will basically cover a bunch of stuff we were talking about earlier. Production lockdowns, local development environment, production environments, Docker, JSON configuration. Did I say environment variables? I'll say it twice if not. Performance tuning. So all of the stuff you need to know to be using Command Box. So those 4 sessions will be what Ortis is offering on the Wednesday the 21st, I believe, is the day, yes, that we have those workshops before CF Camp. And I am so excited to be back in Germany.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And the Preside is doing their pre-conference day as well. So lots of good options for you. So if you're going to make it over there, spend an extra day, do some extra training, and yeah, enjoy it.
All right, I'm adding my workshop to the show notes, and I'm sure that Mishi will get that updated in the website as soon as he has the ability to.
Very cool. And of course, the actual conference is the 22nd to the 23rd. The workshops, the pre-conference workshops, are the June 21st. And if you go to cfcamp.org, you can get all the other information. They have the sessions up there now. They've got the speakers up there now. So the website's really coming together. And yeah, tickets are available. So go check those out.
Yep, I see a question here in the chat. David asked how existing ticket holders selected pre-conference training. Are you asking about Into the Box or about CF Camp? Now I have to wait for the delay for my words to actually reach David. Into the Box.
Just let us know, David, and we'll add you on. Because when we added the workshops, we didn't know all the workshops when we did the super early bird. I know David was one of the first people to buy. So thank you for doing that without even seeing that. But we'll actually go ahead and get you added to the right one. So just let us know which of those workshops you want, and just ping me in Slack, and we'll get you added to the list. So very cool. But yeah, that's the only thing is when you buy so early, we don't even have the workshop names, so you can't pick them. So, but we appreciate it. So cool. And then if you guys want more conferences, comps.tech has a bunch of great options for you. They've got conferences in person, online, lots of different languages. So you can check those out too. Okay, so let's get into blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. It's a quieter week, but it's not too bad. I'm going to pull up a tweet, and I want your input on this one in a second, Brad. I'll just read it out first and show everybody. But James Moberg was saying, asking if any Cold Fusion or SQL devs want to share tips regarding the best method to bypass the 2100 SQL param limit when using a list of unknown length in an in-query. He validated a list of ints and dynamically generated these values constructor to use with a CTE. No temps, var tables, whatever. And he said it was pretty dang fast. So I know that this has actually come up a few times where people are like trying to get lists of lists, and you use the in and you don't realize that your query brought back more than the max the SQL can handle. But this little CTE makes it easy to do it, but there's still that limit. So have you run into any
Yeah, I have. I saw this tweet. I didn't reply to it though. Anytime I've run into that, I've always wound up with a table variable and breaking the list up and doing chunked inserts into it. And to be clear, there's two different limits that people might be confusing. There is a limit to the number of parameters you can do in a JDBC operation, right? Like the number of query params. But just ignoring that, just like straight up Microsoft SQL Server, there's a limit to how big an in clause can be, where ID in, which is just a straight up like SQL limit, irrespective of any JDBC access to it. And I'm pretty certain he is discussing that that second version. And like I said, I've never found any way around it other than just chunking it together and putting it into a table variable.
Yeah. I was going to say that's similar too.
It does kind of suck. If you're running into it, you might want to back up and like consider if there's a different way to approach the problem. Like do you have like a user interface with like over 2,000 checkboxes someone's checking and you need to like hit submit and somehow like put that into a filter? I don't know, maybe there's a better way to do that, but yeah,
that's what I was thinking too. Like if you're using a paginated list or something, it should make it easier. But
yeah, and Adam just kind of said the same thing I was saying. Scott, yes, the answer is yes. You would hit the limit in that scenario.
Yeah, but the SQL one, not necessarily the prior one. If you're doing, because usually the in clause is from a previous query. It's to get around the whole the n+1 thing, right? You do two queries, one to get the list of IDs, and then the other one to use in the in to run it. But again, if you're getting over 2,000 in your first query, then you're like, why do you need that much data back? Like you said, it's probably best just to chunk it. So.
Right, and as far as the CTE, I mean that's mostly syntax. I mean, you could have just put that select in parentheses and just aliased it and selected directly from it, and it would have been like essentially the same thing. The CTE might be a bit more readable in that you can just kind of alias it up top basically as a table and just use it down below. Sticks to one, half dozen the other, I suppose. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's any performance differences.
Yeah. So Scott, we need to throw into Postgres and see what their limit is if they have.
Well, yeah, I was just wondering if other databases had similar limits to it.
Yep. Okay. Well, next up we have the CFCamp pre-conference workshop thing, which you pretty much covered already anyway in good detail and added more detail than our blog because you gave us the fourth one. So we'll just move on. So the next one after that is we have one from Ben Nadell, and this one. I wonder how many people in the chat knew that you could actually have a button and use it against any form on the page. Did you know that, Brad?
I saw Ben's tweet. I didn't read his blog. If all he's doing is like on click equals document.forms whatever find the form submit, yeah, I knew you could do that. But if he found a way to actually like associate the button with the form, then no, I had never known that.
Yeah, you just put form equals and then you put the ID of the form, and then it'll.
There you go. Then no, yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I've always physically, I've always nested the button inside the hierarchy of the form. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so that's a cool little tip. And again, I think some people might have run into that. For some reason, I think I've heard about this a while back, but I don't know what it was from, and I don't do it enough. But yeah, I'm usually working in Viewer or something where it's like I just call the function which behaves like a submit anyway. So, but I saw you did tweet a little bit about the feature flag stuff that he was talking about. How feature flag should fail open. So you want to tell us about that one, or at least the discussion you guys had, because that's another one that Ben was talking about this week.
Yeah, Ben was basically just talking about fail open, fail close concept, which is terminology that people use. Imagine like a hospital has doors that have like those magnetic locks that are computer controlled, and you scan the card and it releases. if the system was to go down, you wouldn't want all the doors to be in a failed state where they were all locked and you couldn't get out. That could be a safety issue. So you'd have things like that oftentimes fail open. So if there was some catastrophic failure in the computer that controlled them, the doors would fail in an unlocked state. Now, unless you're in a prison, I don't know, that might be a bad thing. But
well, the roller coaster in Vegas that I told you about that one time, where when it shut down for wind conditions, it shut down, hanging them upside down over the edge of the stratosphere. That's how it locked open.
It failed instantly. Like, I don't care if you're upside down. So with the feature flags, the idea was if there's some sort of issue with the feature flag, do you want the flag to default to being on or off? Now, whether or not open means on or off, that's possibly a bit of ambiguous semantics. But that's what Ben was talking about. And I had pointed out on Twitter that the Launch Darkly SDK, which I wrote a Cold Fusion wrapper for a client, it has the ability for you to specify on a per flag basis a default value. So you can say, get the flag called, is product available, right? And then if Launch Darkly isn't accessible for some reason, the API is down, the internet's down, then use this default value. So that way, a really important feature wouldn't just default to being off if you'd rather have it be on. And of course, in the case of Launch Darkly, flags aren't just Booleans. Flags can be numbers, they can be an entire JSON document. So the default value is more complicated than just open or closed. But anyway, it's an interesting thing to consider.
Yeah, because his context was, when I delete the feature flag from my system, how should my code behave? And so that's sort of the trick there, because obviously you should clean up your feature flags eventually, but you should also clean them up from the code. So I guess if someone goes through cleaning up feature flags, obviously you should be logging that, hey, this feature flag doesn't exist, someone needs to go to this page and remove this flag. But you could set it, and in his description here is like, if it's basically, if the can see duplicate is not equal false, basically if it's not explicitly false, it means it's not there, or it's true, then we'll show it.
Yeah, and if the goal is to make it so you can delete a feature flag and the site still works, I think you would definitely want to be like logging that somewhere. Like, hey, this feature flag you're still trying to use it, it's gone. You should do something about that. But yeah, it's
So we had explicit off, explicit on, and then fail open, and and again, it's basically just how do you deal with not existing, So, but yeah, it makes you think though. Feature flags are definitely pretty cool, and Launch Darkly is pretty good. We use Unleashed because they have a nice self-hosted plan where you can play with it a little bit for free on one project, and a lot of times that's all you need.
Well,
so
we also largely used Unleashed because it was bundled with GitLab, and now we're moving away from GitLab because their per user price tripled. So I'm not sure what that means in terms of our Unleashed usage, unless we just start hosting it ourselves outside of GitLab.
I think we are, actually.
Okay, well, that's good. That was the one downside of stuff like Launch Darkly, was you could point it at like a local JSON file and have limited functionality, but generally speaking, if you're using Launch Darkly with their website, you're paying per month to be able to use it. Which, I mean, I get it, right? They're providing a value-added service, and you pay them for that. But if you have an incredibly cheap company, they might not want to pay for a feature flag service like that.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's like, okay, if you have to install your own server, that's going to cost you a number of, CPU cycles. It's going to cost you a certain amount anyway. But those do creep up really quickly. They're really good at giving you low, free plans or low price plans until you hit a certain limit of people or flags, and then it gets ridiculous. And then it's like, hey, you must be, a huge company who are making billions of dollars. We're going to charge you more than your salary for this. So, but anyway, there's a lot like that.
That's the eternal problem for software companies like this, is how do we make our software or our product cheap enough for people to easily play with, but how do we also cash in on those giant companies with money falling out of their pockets who are also using our product?
Yep, that's a tough one for sure. But we got one more blog post here from Ben, and this one is working on his turbo streams again. So he's been working hard on that. There's a whole series that he's done. And so this one here was talking about using custom actions. So when you're using turbo streams, you can basically update just a certain piece of it. So you can either replace or update. You can do after pin before, and these are the ones that are sort of built in, but you can do custom ones too. And so again, Ben's diving pretty deep on this. So if you guys haven't looked at it, it's an alternative to those like the live wire, CB wire type thing. This is just a different flavor. I think this is based on the Ruby ones from like Basecamp. So if you guys are looking for alternatives, definitely check out Ben's stuff. He's got some videos on some of them too. So if you want, more of an overview, go check that one out as well. So
I just can't get past the title Turbo Stream. What does it even mean, Gavin? Make it make sense. Turbo Stream.
Well, they want to make it like it's super fast. But the funny thing is when I first heard about turbo streams, the Turbo Builder came out, like the opposition to Vite and stuff. And so I got so confused that I thought, do you have to use turbo to use turbo? Which there's too many turbos. So
it happens when marketing gets involved. It reminds me of a jukebox, just like, a portable radio I saw at like a Best Buy or a Walmart years ago. And this whole feature was like extra bass, and it had these big like plastic tubes that probably did nothing. And the package was labeled, it said Gigatubes. And they were like, Gigatubes? What? What does this even mean? Like, you have a billion tubes? What? Marketing, just go home. Stop it. You're ruining everything. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I hear Turbo Stream.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Okay.
I'll add one additional thing that's not in your show notes. I probably should have sent a tweet out. But I had a couple pull requests merged into Lucy 6 this week or last week, which was fun. And I guess I could actually shoot a tweet out about this and add it into the post, the show notes after the fact. But anyway, there's a small regression in Lucy 6 that I had accidentally added with the asynchronous parallel query stuff that I did. And I fixed that, but it was around someone using the rand function in SQL, which the hypersonic, the HSQLDB, supported, but the native Lucy query didn't. So, in addition to fixing that little regression, I looked up and saw how's Oracle, how's PostgreSQL, how's MySQL, how's SQL Server all doing their rand function. They pretty much all work the same. And so I also added some native support for rand in Lucy's queries. That way, if anybody is using that going forward, it shouldn't have to fall back to the problematic hypersonic SQL. It'll be baked into Lucy. So anyway,
cool.
That was fun. It's nice to get those merged in without a ridiculous amount of teeth pulling. Thanks, Zach.
Yep. Cool. Next up, we have CFML Jobs. So if you're looking for a job, getcfmljobs.com is a great resource for that. They scrape from all the different providers, and they have 61 Cold Fusion positions from 39 companies across 30 locations in those 5 countries. We got 3 new jobs posted this week. You want to tell us about the first couple? And I will post them.
I can. There is a full-time removalist Brisbane at Brisbane, Australia. Is that the name of the company? Removalists?
I will click on it and find out in a second. I'm sharing the links for those.
I'm clicking too.
Okay.
Better Removalist Brisbane. That is the name of them. They take pride in providing top-notch removal services to their clients. I don't know what the crap they remove, but they remove stuff. Moving situations. Like they'll actually move all your stuff out of your apartment or whatever. That's awesome.
Huh? Maybe
Maybe that's like an Aussie term there. But apparently they... is this actually a Cold Fusion job? Like I'm sitting here reading the description and I'm like, at what point is Cold Fusion coming into play here? I think this may be spam. I'll be really honest.
It might be, yeah.
It's Brisbane. It's on the CFML Jobs website, but I don't actually know that this is a Cold Fusion job.
Yeah, there's a business for sale too. Yeah, I just looked at it.
Yeah,
you're right.
This is spam.
Okay, well, so there's 2 real jobs. How about that?
They got us. Yeah, that's just somebody trying to get their crap out on the internet.
I'm surprised it's not one of those keto gummy pill things that the spam's been all over the web lately.
Yeah, well, if you're in Brisbane and needing to move, these guys can help you move out of your apartment. But if you actually want a Cold Fusion job, it looks like we have a senior software engineer. Now, this does sound like a Cold Fusion job. At Bengaluru, India. So I don't see anything other than just full-time through Altisource, collaborate with tech lead, system architect, business analyst, integrate different perspectives into technical documentation. Interesting. Sounds more like a documentation job than developer, but either way, if you're in Bangalore, India, you can check into this one. I don't see any remote local. I assume it's an on-site job. They have quite a bit of details in the listing on Indeed.com.
Cool. Okay, well that wraps up our job section and our scam section. ForgeBox module of the week. This one, Brad gave a demo to the Audis team last week. Java FX demo. So you want to tell us about the cool stuff that you did here and why people might care.
Yeah, so Java FX is sort of Java's evolution of Swing, which is the way that Java developers used to make terrible-looking UIs back in the day. It was part of Java 8, only to be ripped back out in Java 10 when Oracle moved into the whole Java modules direction with the whole Jigsaw project, which, I mean, makes sense. And so, like 3 years ago or so, at DevNexus, one of the keynotes was about using JavaFX to build like interactive three-dimensional representations of spaceships in orbit and for NASA. Anyway, and I started to look into JavaFX, but then I had some questions about how the licensing was going to go in the future. This was back when Oracle was changing up all their licensing, so I left it alone. Well, a few weeks ago, I was back at DevNexus. The same guys who did the NASA demo a few years ago now works for Johns Hopkins University, and he's still doing JavaFX stuff. And he was doing like three-dimensional like scatter graphs, mapping like people's brainwaves and stuff. It was pretty cool, and I was glad to see JavaFX is still out there. And has the ability to look a little bit prettier than Swing did, which was always just ugly as sin. If you ever use like JMeter, like that's basically how most Java Swing apps used to look. So anyway, JavaFX is essentially a collection of modules for Java that let you build native apps for Mac, Windows, Linux. Along the same lines of Electron, but instead of being based on Node, this one's based on Java. So I wanted to play around with it, and I wanted to get a proof of concept to say what would it look like to bundle a JavaFX native application inside of Command Box. And so I found a cool little demo that has a bunch of charts. It's just a demo I found off the internet. And I created a simple module for Command Box, which if you'd like to test it, please do. Part of the goal of this was just to see if it worked on everybody's computer. So far, I've tested it on Mac, Windows, and Linux, and it seems to work. So JavaFX demo is the name of the package. You can install that module in the Command Box, and then it just creates a JavaFX-demo command. You run that command, it'll download JDK 17, it'll download some jars for the demo, and then if you're in luck, it should pop up just a regular, GUI window that has this interactive chart. You can click around, there's tabs, there's trees, there's charts, you can move the charts, zoom in and out. And in the future, we may look at doing some cool, Command Box Pro features. Imagine like server dashboards or, Command Box configuration utilities that would sit on top of the CLI, but would be some sort of GUI. And so that's why I wanted to do a proof of concept and say, how well does JavaFX work? What does it look like? How does it work? What would it take to be able to package it up, and make it so you can just run a command and a GUI pops up and not use Node. So anyway, that was it, basically. It was just my little kind of experimentation that I did after DevNexus. So if you're curious, just go install that JavaFX demo. It just runs an open source demo I found online. And let me know if it works on your machine. If it doesn't work, let me know, because that's what I wanted to know, is if it was really stable anywhere, or if it was full of bugs. It seems to work pretty good once I figured out how to call it, which is like takes about 8 billion Java command line arguments because it's Java. But anyway, I kind of like it. It's it's not as popular as like Electron as far as just the size of the community, but there's quite a lot of libraries out there, and you can still just build like HTML, CSS, JavaScript interfaces and just package them up inside of JavaFX as the native runtime. And you can write mobile apps, which I didn't even realize. With GraalVM, you can compile native iOS and Android apps using JavaFX, which is kind of cool. Now, I don't relish the idea of building things in Java, but I am more familiar with the Java ecosystem as a place to deploy things on, especially if I can use JavaScript and HTML inside of it. But anyway, that was my little demo. Install it, run it, let me know if it works for you, if it doesn't. And maybe someday in the future we'll actually build something on JavaFX and make it be part of Command Box. We'll see.
Yeah, cool. I kind of want to throw something in it and just see if it sucks up memory like Electron does.
So I played around with it. Is it as good as CF Client? Nothing will ever be as good as CF Client, Adam. I did take a look at the memory. Opening up this particular demo app, which had about like 20 charts, it used like 250 megs of RAM on my Windows 10 PC for the Java process. And then if I clicked through like every single chart to load them all into memory, it used about 350 megs of RAM, maybe 300. So anyway, I'm sure every app is different, but just for what it's worth. And that was not with any custom built JRE, because the whole Java has moved into this direction, which is kind of cool, but it's also annoying as crap, where you can like build your own JRE that has like just the modules you want, right? So instead of Java just being this big like 200 meg thing you install, but has all the crap overnight you need it, you can use JLink and you can build your own custom JRE that only has the specific parts of Java your specific app needs, which basically Cold Fusion servers will probably never be able to use this feature. But if you're in like native Java land, right, forget about Cold Fusion, you can do that, and you can even like pull out all the classes in the JDK you're not even using. So if you're not using like concurrent hash map, right, like that actual class file could just get removed from the JDK. And so Java has a bunch of cool tooling in the native Java world where you can build these like super small condensed distributions of Java, and then you can even compile them down natively with GraalVM. So there's probably some performance stuff to be had there. It just kind of sucks that as a Cold Fusion developer, that's all outside of the bubble of what we can probably even tap into. Heck, they were talking about freaking Java 20 and Java 21 at DevNexus, and I'm still here waiting for Lucy or Adobe Cold Fusion to release a stable version of Cold Fusion that runs on Java 16, let alone Java 20. So, as usual, we are a few miles behind the curve as far as Java goes. But anyway, that's all a slightly separate rant.
Yeah, well, their release system always threw me, because don't the even numbers come out more often or something? Like they have, like the stable ones are the odds, and then so every 3 months you get a new version of the I don't know, it changes so much.
I have no earthly clue.
Because it went from like Java 8 being like 5 years, and then 9 being a little bit, and then it went kind of skipped 10 and went to 11 or whatever they did, and then 12, 13, 14 came out in a hot beat, and then 15. And, it's like they release one stable every year, but every quarter they release a new version or something. It's kind of crazy. And Adam's asking why they both not on 17. Well, didn't they just do some 17 stuff for Adobe now, right?
That's a fantastic question, Adam. So Adobe is going to support Java 17 with Adobe Cold Fusion 2023. Lucy, more or less, from what I can tell, somewhat mostly works on Java 17 as of Lucy 5.3.10. I don't really know where it's at as far as official support. You have to add like 11 billion JVM args to make it work. All these Java opens. And the main thing is because in Java 16, all of those warnings you've been seeing since Java 11 in your console that say you have illegal reflective access, this will be removed in a later version. Well, Java 16 is that later version. And any code inside of a Java module, which all the sections of a JDK are all modularized, any part of that you try to call via reflection as of Java 16 now creates a straight up error, like, nope, ain't gonna do that. And the only way to make it work is to have started the initial Java process with a special JVM which won't freaking work on Java 8. Good luck being compatible all the way across that. That explicitly says the code in this Java module is open to this module to be able to call it via reflection. It's an absolute pain in the butt. And so Cold Fusion, whether it's Lucy or Adobe, is like all reflection behind the scenes. I mean, not all. Anytime you're dealing with Java objects. So, you create an instance of a hash map directly and you got to call a method on it. Boom, that's reflection. And as of Java 16, Java's like, nope, you can't do that. So now you have to freaking start your server with a JVM arg that says, no, really, let's allow us to do this. So a lot of the support, if only they had years and years of notice. I put in the tickets for Java 16 support for both Lucy and Adobe, and you can look at the dates. They've been in there for a little while.
Yeah, it's only released 2 years ago, because 16 is when they started doing the more.
Right, but Java 11 is when the warning started that said this will go away in a future version.
Yeah.
So a lot of what it takes to make crap run on Java 17 is actually just starting the server with like all of these opens. But it's really annoying because there's no way to like dynamically do it at runtime. It has to be all the way back when the JVM starts. So if you have some crazy, part of a JDK that you call directly in your Cold Fusion code, it may or may not work on Java 17, and you may have to go edit your JVM args. So on this topic, I think I mentioned this the other day, the bleeding edge build of command box and runwar does work on Java 17, which basically consisted of me creating this massive list of Java modules that I cram in as just a giant list of JVM args. And it mostly seems to work until I find another missing JVM arg like next week that I'll have to go add. So if you want to test it, a command box, the bleeding edge of command box will support that. But yeah, it's I love the fact that Oracle is modernizing Java. They're not afraid to do it. It sucks that it makes stuff not work, and then we're stuck quite a ways behind. I mean, don't even get me started on the freaking Jakarta namespace for J2EE, which neither Adobe nor Lucy even have an inkling of a care to even begin thinking about. And I've been going without like Undertow updates for probably 2 years now because like Undertow's already cut over, and all new updates to Undertow go into the Jakarta version. They're not even adding anything other than bug fixes into the Java X or whatever the crap the old namespace is. So yes, the extreme slowness of the CF engines to pick up like literally anything new constantly has me feeling like I'm in like the backwoods of the Java world. When I go to a Java conference, I'm like, yeah, I'm still supporting Java 8, and they're like, Java 21's coming out next year, and I'm like, oh wow, that would be nice to use. So yeah, fun times.
Actually, that'll be out. Java 21 will be out in September.
Yeah.
But just because they release them on 6-month cycles now. I'm looking at the list here.
Right.
And so basically the way it works is, like you said, 11 runs out of active support in September because that'll be 5 years. Wow. And then we have 3 more years of security support for it. So at least there's security support for 3 more years. But that means we're also almost 2 years into 17. So we'll only have 3 left before it ends active support again. So if it takes them 2 years to get in, they've got 3 years before they have to fix it. So like it's going to be a little trouble. So yeah, because the next stable's not going to be coming out for a while. So anyway, but yeah, because it's been out for 4.5 years now, the 11. So they're up. If we go to 17, say in a few months, they'll basically would be 2 years in. So we'll have 3 years more of active support and then 3 more security. But yeah, so. But yes, 18 and 19 or basically end every time there's a new version come out. So every 4th one, they changed the thing so much. But anyway, long story short, yep. So
maybe someday I'll get to run my apps on Java 17 and the Jakarta namespace, but until then, I'll be a second-class citizen of Java.
Yep, exactly. So, okay, well, next up, we have hints, tips, and tricks of the week, and this one is actually an upcoming little mini conference, VS Code Day. So if you guys are using VS Code, which a lot of you guys are, I know, VS Code Day is coming up April 26th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time, and they say it's their annual event where you learn how to evaluate your development workflow using the latest and greatest features of VS Code. And so I will pull it up on my local screen so you guys can check it out. But it looks like a cool little event. Got lots of content, short little presentations too, so nothing too long. You can look at Copilot, everybody wants that, but code spaces using Rust and Python. But yeah, GitHub Next, which is always interesting to see, and GitHub integration. They're doing a lot of cool stuff with VS Code for GitHub, so everyone's using that. We can tie in, cover a bit of everything really. So you might have recognized some of these speakers, you may not, but quite a lot of stuff going on. So that's our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. Go check that one out, and you can see all the things all in one day. So it's like a year's worth of our stuff all at once. So that's our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. Sign up for that one. It's free. Next up, our Patreon supporters. So thanks to all the Patreon supporters. We really appreciate you guys. Since Brad's typing, I'll keep going here. These individuals are personally supporting our open source initiatives to make sure we can keep working on things that we love and you like Command Box, Forge Box, Cold Box, Content Box, Test Box, and all those other boxes out there. And the said, a large part of that funds go into this podcast and supporting the package management through CommandBox and ForgeBox and all of our Amazon AWS S3 bills for giving you guys all those solutions. So if you guys want to find us, you can go to patreon.com/AutoSolutions to find out some of the package we have there. And if you become a Patreon supporter, there's some perks, right, Brad? There are some reasons they should do it, other than just being nice and helping us out.
There are. I'm busy sending that tweet that I needed to send to put in the show notes.
Well,
So yes, our Patreon supporters, for the bronze package and up, you get a ForgeBox Pro and a CFcast subscription as a perk for being a Patreon supporter. All of our Patreon supporters get the profile badge on our community website, so you look cool and authoritative. And you have access to your own private forum and our own private Slack team on Box Team Slack. And as an example, when we were testing our ChatGPT implementation that we'll be talking about at Into the Box, which was powered by our Gitbook documentation, we released that about 2 weeks early privately to all of our Patreon supporters to get the first whack at it before we went public with it. So lots of perks for being a Patreon supporter.
Yep, and then in there too, we'll sometimes, ping them for questions about different stuff or, get feedback on what workshops we should do or bits and pieces. So, we try to make it worth a while. So lots of cool stuff in there. But we want to thank our Patreon supporters. We got too many to list all of them, so we're going to have to just cut down to the top patrons. So, Brad, you want to give us the list of our top patrons this week?
Yep, our top patrons are John Wilson from Synaptrix, Tomorrow's Guides, and Jordan Clark.
Yep, and then we also have Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, Jeffrey McGee from Sunstar Media, Dean Maunder, Nolan Irk, and Abdul Rahim. And lots more Patreons. So you guys can go check them out at autosolutions.com/about-us/sponsors. And then, I think that's it. So remember, Mark's doing his session right now, or he was. Go watch the replay on that one. And then we've got the Mid-Michigan meetup tonight, Nolan Irks tomorrow. Lots of great stuff coming your way. And again, Into the Box videos, lots and lots of them. So go get your Into the Box ticket and watch some videos. And yeah, we'll see you guys all soon, and hopefully we'll see you in Houston. I know we'll see Adam. He's already got his coasters ready to go. So thanks, everybody.
Awesome.
Have a great week. Thanks, Brad.
All right, bye.
Bye. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.